Ciao everybody, welcome to this advanced tutorial for Podio. The concept here, the goal is to describe from A to Z the process to import and export to Excel, using Excel to populate lists. In this example, we'll build up on the concept of languages that we introduced previously. How to have, instead of a static list of couple of values or a very long painful list here, to have a reference to a database or an app containing hundreds of languages. To build this, very easy. We first need to find the languages. We go on internet, we go on Wikipedia, and we find a list of all the languages. We copy paste this into Excel and we build a very simple sheet like this. So now I have a list here of about 114, 13 languages. And then from different web pages, Wikipedia and elsewhere, then I found some statistics to know which languages are the most spoken in the world. So I can have, for example, this view that Chinese is by far much more spoken than English. However, very few websites are in Chinese, so it's not so important on the internet, whereas English is, of course, the majority. And so I have the statistics here. I want to import this into Podio. How I do that? First, I need to create an app which is going to have these 4 fields. So I just copy them actually, go in Podio, and I'm going to use here in my metadata workspace, I'm going to create a new app that I'm going to call languages. I already have it, so I'm going to call it language 2. And when you create a new item, it's going to be called language. I give it an icon if I like, and this is done. My app is empty. I'm just going now to create my 3 fields. The first one is named languages. Then I have 2 fields with numbers, 3 fields with numbers. One is called internet users. One is called percentage of world population, and one is called percentage of websites. Because I already copied paste everything, I don't need to retype everything 3 times. The order I've been choosing here was the world, then the web, then internet. I'm going to choose here a different order, first the web, internet, and the world at the end. Doesn't matter, it's just to show you. I will define this as a mandatory single line and a mandatory field. There's no point to define a language without its name. I have an empty database. I can add language one by one, and filling this, that would be painful. We're going to make it much easier. I use the wrench and I use Excel import. I have my Excel sheet here, which is saved as, I have another one which is just a copy here. Saved as language 2, so I'm just going to use this one here. I can drag and drop or choose the file from my computer or from any other shared place. We change the world. Sorry, I go in my metadata here and I take language 2. It's importing the list, it's reading the structure of the list, so the name of the columns, and it's offering me now the possibility to map my Excel file with my Podio app. So the language column in Excel will match the language field in my app, but the percentage of word population should map this field, which is the last one, and website should match website. I gave them the same name, so it's very easy to match, but they could have different names, of course. Next step is going to clean up the data and make sure to identify the unique records for each data, which means it's going to scan now the value of these fields and to identify which one is the key identifier for each record. And it shows me here one example of the first language found, and it sets here this key, which means that's the unique identifier. So these values may differ or be similar among all the records, but what identifies uniquely a record is the name of the language, which is what we want here. it would be importing people, then the first name of that person would not be enough to identify uniquely that person. I would use probably at least the first name and the last name, if not also their country or something. We can have multiple John Doe, of course. The value of having a key identifier is that when I'm going to import, the first time it's going to import everything, but in the future when I'm going to re-import, it's going to check if this record, called in this example language Aran, is already existing. Now it's finished, everything was imported, so I can just refresh my view and I will see my values. Not very nice like this, I show them as a table and everything is populated. I have a big problem now is that my values here are all 0. Why is this? It's a classical case. Everything here is in percentage. So it's 0.17%, which translates into 0.0017, and it's rounded as 0 here. So what you have to do in such a case is to multiply all these values by 100 to have them as integer and not as a percentage. So I just multiply this by 100 and I do that for everywhere, copy paste. Maybe an even cheaper way or faster way, you copy the number 100 and I can just now select everything and say paste special. I'm going to paste my 100 as a way to multiply. So I'm multiplying all my cells by 100. And now I have 17, which stands here for 17% and not the real value 0.17. When I import this, then I would have my proper list with the right numbers in percentage. Just a little trick. Now I'm going to show you when I want to update all that. Let's say I want to add now a new field or whatever I want to do, then I would just export this list into Excel. It's exported multiple times. Don't double click, sorry. I can open my file. Here it is. Then I can update this file. And now let's say I want to add a code for every language. Then I could simply insert a new column. Let's say code, and for Zulu it's going to be Zoo, and for Woo it's going to be Woo, and for French going to be FR, etc. And now maybe I want to update one of the fields, so I could multiply all this by 100, as we said before. I can try again my trick. I have 100 in the clipboard, and I just do paste special, multiply, and all my values should be multiplied by 100. Paste the values, multiply. Okay, so now I have crazy values here, so you really see the big difference. Okay, so I just updated this sheet, I save it, it's called language 2 last view by user. Going back to Podio, I'm going now to re-import this list. Excel import. I'm going to choose my file again. I don't do drag and drop so you see better, but I should do drag and drop, would be easier. Here it is. So now it's a different file I'm importing, but because I have the same values for the key, which is the name of the language, it's going to be mapped very easily. I cannot import this because I don't have fields here which are ready for this. Like my code, I don't have a field which is ready for that. So first I should have updated my app. That was done on purpose to show you that my template must be now modified, just to add one piece of text here. I'm going to call it the code, but it could give it any name. And now I can re-import my Excel. Take back my file. You see, it's fairly quick when you're familiar with import-export. It goes really well. So my whole list of 114 or 13 languages going to be updated in a snap. The code should match the code, the language should map the language, and my different values that I changed for the first records, I'm going to map them the same way. The key just explaining now what is the key and how to choose it. Basically what I explained to you earlier. I'm going to choose the same key, saying I'm re-importing a new list, but the key identifying unique element is languages. What's going to happen is that if this field is the same, which is going to be the case for all our languages, then we will just update the following fields. So it will update the field code, which is in existence for all my items, by adding it, and it will update the values by adding this crazy numbers that we changed for some records. So I'm not overwriting my whole list, I'm really updating the values selectively based on this key, which is this first column name of the language. So with this practice, now it's finished. I'm just going to refresh my page, show it as a list. Then I see my code has been imported, and I see my crazy values that I put here have been changed only for the first records, and then it's always 0 or very small values. So I could update plenty of records, multiplying everything by 10,000 in this case, and adding codes very quickly without having to go one by one. So that's the huge value of import and export to Excel, and then this list in this case can be used to be referenced from another app, and it's consistently managed always here in one place, and I can add this additional information which are potentially valuable for me to keep track of. Okay, I hope this was helpful. That was the quick Excel import-export tutorial. Have a nice day.